Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast of Friends Occasionally Not Disagreeing. I am Brett, and I am kind of your host tonight. If you've been a listener of this podcast, you probably understand pretty clearly that Cody is our head honcho. He's the guy who makes the show run and keeps it afloat. He is on vacation right now, so I said, you know what? I've got a topic that I could talk about for a while and make an episode, and so here we are. I'm going to forego our usual talk tonight of things we've been doing recently because it's me here, and we're just going to jump into things. So, gentlemen and not so gentlemen, I'm here tonight with another paranormal topic. Right here, live on air, I'm going to prove to you the existence of woman. My evidence is sitting right here next to me, in fact, and she is my wife. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
That's the rumor, anyway.
Oh, well.
I am the wife.
Hello, wife. There you have it, friends. For the first time ever, you have heard a real-life woman on air. And now don't go to getting any ideas. This one's mine. Go out and find your own. No, our real topic tonight is not only one show that we want to talk about, not only two shows that we want to talk about, perhaps not even three, but four, if we get that far into it. We are going to start off by giving our review of Black Mirror Season 6, which just came out recently on Netflix. We're also going to go on and give our thoughts on a few other shows that we enjoy together, and what also kind of fit the same genre that Black Mirror kind of fills. I would say what kind of ties all these shows together, generally speaking, are stories of alternate Earth realities, themes that are often futuristic or heavily sci-fi or technologically based. The shows kind of really explore the weird possibilities that could exist in our world, either currently or in the future, should we, the human race, have made different choices or have come up with different kinds of technology or sociological systems. Things usually get really weird on these shows, which is one of the things that we enjoy about it. But for the people in these shows, it's just kind of like everyday life, which is one of the neat things, kind of just imagining that this is the normal world that we could live in. Another show that's likely influenced all of these series, I imagine, and we're not that we're going to talk about tonight, but it's The Twilight Zone. That's a show that most people probably understand what that is fairly quickly, and so just imagining that is kind of gets you into what these shows are about right off the bat here. So we're just going to go and jump into Black Mirror here, which, as I restated earlier, has recently just released their 6th season on Netflix. And I'm just going to go ahead and read you the description that I found here. Black Mirror is a British anthology television series that first aired in 2011. Individual episodes explore a diversity of genres, but most are set in the near future with dystopia settings, often involving sci-fi technology. You could also explain this series as a type of speculative fiction. The series is inspired by The Twilight Zone and uses themes of technology and media to comment on contemporary social issues. You could also say that it explores the dark side of modern technology and kind of like the ways that it just could go wrong when used improperly. So, in total, Black Mirror has released 27 episodes over their 6 seasons. They also have one interactive episode on Netflix titled Bandersnatch, which was essentially a digital, video-based choose-your-own-adventure book, which was pretty cool. We did that.
Several times.
I think we did, yeah. We tried to get all the different endings, because there was more than one way to finish it.
It was so long of a journey, too, so you would, get so far, make a wrong choice, and then you'd be too far down the rabbit hole to go on a different path.
Right, yeah. So it's kind of like just start over when you get what the ending you didn't want to get. But yeah, that was pretty fun. And so, I left off here. Netflix has been producing the show since 2016. Previous to that, it was on the British station Channel 4, I believe. And Netflix picked it up in like 2015.
So there's British episodes? Like,
Well,
not ones that we've seen?
No, we've seen them all.
Oh.
Netflix has the rights to all the episodes now. But they didn't originally start as the producer of the show. Is what I was getting at. So, it also explains why many of the actors in the show, especially in the earlier seasons, are either what we Americans would consider lesser established actors, people you're not familiar with, you haven't seen their work, being a...
I thought you were going to say British. What we Americans would call British.
Right. No, these people probably are famous-ish in the UK. Just we don't know who they are because we don't see British television regularly. But as I said, we're going to go over the most recent season here, season 6, and we're just going to do just quick synopses of the episodes and just kind of talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and just kind of give a little rating of each. My wife is giving me a look of, this wasn't part of the plan. But it's okay. We'll just...
I can rate it.
Yeah. Well, that's all you really need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, season 6, episode 1, is titled Joan is Awful. This one stars Annie Murphy and Selma Hayek, and has a really fun cameo near the end, which I won't spoil right now at this moment. The main synopsis of it is, after a rough day at work, Joan goes home to relax with some TV. She turns on Streamberry, which is it's really funny because Streamberry is literally it's just Netflix. It's a rebranded, re-imaged Netflix. So she's watching Netflix on Netflix, essentially, which is amusing. I actually had a moment when I was watching this show. I was like, God, how is Netflix allowing this to happen? And I was like, wait, this is on Netflix.
Right.
So I felt really stupid. But anyway, she's watching Netflix, her Streamberry, I should say, only to find there's a brand new show on called Joan is Awful. Again, her name is Joan. And this show is essentially, it's replaying the events of her life in near real time. So it's like events that happened earlier that day are on a TV show that she's watching in the evening. Joan in the show is played by Selma Hayek, but as we find out later, it's not even actually Selma Hayek because what she's done is she's signed over the rights to her own image and voice to Streamberry. So the show can basically like make her say and do whatever they want her to, and that she gave away those rights.
And it does.
They do everything. And so basically...
You made it sound really dirty.
They
do.
That was not necessarily intentional. So basically, so the show is putting everything about her life on full display. And since the show is starting to go viral, literally everyone she knows has been watching it, and like all of her skeletons start coming out of the closet, so to speak, because literally everything that she said during the day is on the show. Even things like she said just to herself and with no one else around is somehow on this show. And she ends up spending the remainder of the episode like trying to get the show canceled to end it. At one point going so far as to take a shit in the middle of a church during a wedding, thinking that would be enough to get the show canceled, which it did not. It goes on from there, but that's as much as I'm going to talk about the plot line. This episode, I really enjoyed it. The concept was really kind of wild and imaginative. Just the idea that there's a show kind of documenting your entire life like the same day as it happened. And like clearly there's nobody following her around with cameras. It's just, but somehow it's on TV, which is kind of the one of these Black Mirror things. Just it's a Black Mirror type of thing that happens. Just like, how could this possibly happen?
Because you need to read the terms and conditions.
Exactly.
Which
yes.
no one ever does.
Right. That was like one of the cruxes of the plot was that her lawyer said, well, there's nothing we can do about this because you signed it in the terms and conditions that they were allowed to do this to you. So that was the funny thing, because obviously like no one ever reads those things. They're like 200 pages long and they're stupid. But yeah, it was just like just like true Black Mirror fashion, just this wild concept. It also had a lot of humor, which I enjoyed quite a bit of. And still managed to have like some tension and conflict to it. And there was a twist at the end, which I actually thought was really great because it caught me completely by surprise. I'm not going to spoil that for anybody who's listening to this and wants to see that for themselves. But I thought it was really cool. It was kind of like it was definitely like kind of mind bending. Like, whoa, that's wild. And for me, this episode was Black Mirror at its finest. So I'm going to give this episode an 8.5 out of 10.
Wow. Well, I agree with all that you said, except for I don't know. I feel like I always try to predict where Black Mirror episodes, all the episodes of all the shows I watch, where they're headed. And I guess most of the time, I don't know. Not that I know what's going to happen, not that I can predict what's going to happen, but I guess it's not super surprising. It was entertaining. They definitely stepped up this season with like the amount of celebrities they have in their episodes. There's a lot of recognizable faces. And this was actually, out of this 5-episode season, my favorite. I feel like it was more, like you said, the comedy was there, the big names, and I do feel like even though there's like some second-hand embarrassment, it wasn't, because I have a really hard time watching things like that, it wasn't to the point where it was not watchable. It was more like funny,
feeling embarrassed for the characters of the show, like the awkwardness that happens in these things.
Oh yeah, it's if it makes me cringe, I don't like watching it.
Right.
But I felt like this had just enough, and it pointed out Salma Hayek was really good, wasn't she? Yeah, she was really good in this episode.
I at first was just surprised that she was in the episode because I was like, oh my god, it's Salma Hayek. But yeah, she was really funny and just added a lot to the show for sure. Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I mean, I think I would probably, I don't have it rated like that. I just have like my favorite episode and my least favorite episode. So this was my favorite. I guess I'd give it a 10 out of 10 for the season.
Wow. Okay.
This is probably my highest rated one. It is my highest rated one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fair. Like, depending on how you're... I kind of caught you off guard, so you didn't have like a number in place. But if it's the best of the season, that is fair of giving a 10, I would say. I felt like I should just point out too that you kind of brought it up at the beginning of your discussion there, but you and I watch these kinds of shows very differently. So I will just sit back and let it wash over me and just kind of enjoy the ride. And
I don't.
Any of these kind of shows that have some sort of mystery or a puzzle to solve, you spend all your time solving the puzzle. And admittedly, you are very good at it and usually know what's going to happen before it happens.
Well, thank you.
So, yeah.
I don't think that's true, but thank you.
Oh, it is true. Okay, well, that covers that episode. Let's go on to episode 2, titled Lock Henry. Now, this episode features several less established actors, which was funny because I did not recognize him originally, but going through some information about these episodes, I learned that Daniel Portman, who played Podrick Payne on Game of Thrones, is one of the main characters in this episode. It's young Pod all grown up with a full beard now. So, can you?
Is he the bartender?
Yes.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, now that you said, you mean he's all grown? You mean he's not all grown up anymore?
Well,
he's slimmed down, right? That's the one that plays the.
No. Pod in the show, you remember he was Tyrion's squire, and he was like the guy who was like all awkward and like didn't know how to be a squire, and Tyrion they were like best friends with him, and Tyrion was always like nagging on him about stuff, and he was like definitely was a comic relief part of the show.
You're gonna make me Google
but anyways,
it now.
the other actors in this episode, I did not recognize personally, but anyways, plot synopsis for this one. Two students who are aspiring filmmakers named Davis and Pia, who are a couple, visit Davis's mother in Loch Henry, Scotland. Upon learning about the dark history of Loch Henry and their resident serial killer, a man named Ian Adair, Pia convinces Davis that they need to make a documentary about it. Davis is hesitant to do the documentary because his father was indirectly killed by Adair, and he's worried that it would upset his mother. But during their investigations and shooting film for the documentary, Pia stumbles upon some old VHS tapes which completely upend everything people thought they knew about Ian Adair, including the fact that he did not work alone. This was an episode I enjoyed this one as well, overall. The problem I had with it is that it didn't feel like Black Mirror. There was no alternate reality kind of feel to it. There was nothing like technological or anything making some social commentary. It was basically just a straight up drama / thriller / murder mystery.
Are you waiting for me to chime in?
I mean, you sound like you looked like you had something to say. So,
no, I was just gonna say I agree. It's heavy on the horror. That's part of my notes. Heavy on the horror. It felt off. I liked the episode in terms of if I were watching any other show, it wasn't. Yeah, but it wasn't in fitting with what Black Mirror to me should be. And then there were just some parts where you were like, "Oh God, really?" Like the kid, of course that happened,
right?
Just a comedy of errors, and yeah, this is not my lowest rated one, but it's close.
And this episode had a twist at the end, as pretty much all these episodes do this season, and most just in general, Black Mirror episodes often have some sort of twist at the end. And this one, while I enjoyed the twist, it was completely predictable.
Yes,
it was not a surprise at all, though it was still fun. I think that I don't know what they could have done. I think they could have done like something a lot more interesting with it, like added in that. I'll just go ahead and say that the mother was more like something more weird about her. Something.
Oh, I think there was plenty of weird about her.
Well, I mean, there was, but it just something like more like kind of maybe unnerving or, like I said, I don't know what they could have done, but I feel like there's something there they could have done that would have made it feel more Black Mirror.
Yeah, it was more like a murder mystery show, true crime.
Yeah.
Versus, big plot twist kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So, again, I enjoyed this. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10 as a Black Mirror episode, but as a general episode of a show overall, I would rate it a lot. I would probably rate like more like a 7 or something. 7, 8-ish. Because it was enjoyable. It just didn't feel like Black Mirror.
Well, I guess, like you just said, for an actual episode of any other show, I rated this a 6 out of 10, but yeah, if now I'm thinking about it and I'm putting it to the standards of what, Black Mirror should be to me, I would probably rate it lower now. that you said that. I'd probably do like a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, that's not surprising, given those criteria. Any other thoughts on that?
It's not that it was bad. It just, it wasn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was left wanting.
Sure.
What if he would have, like, turned into the Loch Ness Monster? That would have been a good twist.
That would have been a fun twist. I don't know.
And it was tragic. Like, the ending made me so sad.
Yeah.
And just, I felt really bad for the specific character.
It was an uncharacteristically sad ending to a Black Mirror episode. Like, it was depressing the way it ended up. But
maybe the Black Mirror part of it is that people chase fame and will do things to become famous and somehow leave or betray their values or better judgment for becoming famous. Not to give too much away, but I mean, maybe.
I like that thought, yeah.
Maybe I'm giving them too much credit.
Perhaps. Okay, well, let's move on to episode 3. This one is titled Beyond the Sea. This one comes in at 80 minutes long, so it's basically a full-length movie. And at times kind of felt that way. This one stars... this is probably the most star-studded episode that they've ever done. Definitely this season. But this one stars Aaron Paul, Josh Hartnett, and Kate Mara. Synopsis for this one is, in an alternate history 1969, 2 astronauts who are physically on a ship headed out into deep space are able to still continue their lives on Earth by transferring their consciousness from the ship into a bionic replica back home. Once a week, they transfer their physical... They transfer back to their physical bodies to keep up with the ship maintenance and whatnot. Josh Hartnett's character endures a truly horrific event because horrible humans doing horrible things back on Earth. And from there, the episode essentially plays out with Josh Hartnett trying to hold on to his humanity and Aaron Paul's character trying to help him in the only way that he feels like he can, which we'll talk about in a moment, but it kind of plays out in a predictable and sad way. Overall, I thought this was a really well-made episode. It was gripping and emotional. It was dramatic. It was romantic in its own way. It had a very Black Mirror concept with this alternate history and this technology that we even now still don't have 60 years after that fact. But it had the events, as I said, as they played out, were just very predictable. Even right up to the end, the way it ends is it's shocking, but like in a way of like getting hit in the face with like a blunt object kind of way. It's just like smacks you in the face, like, oh god, that was tragic.
It was more like a sucker punch to the stomach.
Yeah, that fits too. It just didn't really hook me because it was so predictable, and also just because like a romantic drama just isn't really my genre of choice, which was a large part of how it played out. Was
it's Josh Hartnett.
that tracks.
I mean, God, he could be starring in something, not meaning to be romantic, and then he just gets on camera and looks at you, and you're like, wow, this is a romance.
Yeah, I felt my knees melting.
I thought you did.
When I saw his face. I'd give this episode a 6 out of 10 overall.
For Josh Hartnett's knee-melting eyes.
Exactly. I'm fully acknowledging that it was a well-made episode. It was very good. It just was too predictable, and I just didn't... Personally, I didn't enjoy all the theming necessarily.
Concept.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say I hate. I'm not a big fan of space when it feels... Because they're the only 2 people. The 2 characters. There's only 2 people up there. So, was it Interstellar? The one, where's the one with Sandra Bullock?
Oh, that was Gravity.
Okay.
Josh George Clooney.
Josh Hartnett's in all the movies. You just don't know it. So if I feel like that, if I feel like I'm stuck in space, like that other movie with Jennifer Lawrence and who else played?
Travelers?
Where it's her and the other person. Is it Star-Lord? Is he the one who
was Chris Pratt?
Yeah, it was Chris Pratt. I don't like that feeling. I don't enjoy that feeling. But overall, I mean, it gives you time to breathe when they're back in their physical bodies. And, well, not necessarily their physical bodies. They're, I don't know, what do you want? Clone bodies?
They call them replicas.
It gives you time to breathe, and, I don't feel so claustrophobic. But the ending just, even though, it's like, it's going to happen, or it's walking you up to the end, and you're hoping they don't go where you think they're going to go.
Down the terrible, tragic
But you can't,
path.
but you can't turn away, you can't stop, you know what's coming, and you just, till the very end, you're like, I don't want it to happen, but it does. But it was really good, and I really liked the concept. I think it basically was its own movie in that, right? I mean, I think everything was really complete. And it stuck with the theming of Black Mirror, and I enjoyed it. Okay. I gave it my very quick rating system. I put tragic next to it, and I rated it 8 out of 10.
Okay.
For Josh Hartnett.
Got it, yeah. Oh, I got that part. Okay. I think that covers that. Let's go on to episode 4, titled Maisie Day.
Can I interrupt and tell you?
Sure.
3 out of 10.
Let's just get that right.
Spoiler alert.
Let's just get that right out of the way.
I did not enjoy this at all.
This one stars Zazie Beetz and Clara Rugard. And the story of this one is there's a paparazzi photographer named Bo, who's played by Zazie Beetz, quits her profession after the photos that she sells ends up driving one man to commit suicide. After basically running out of money, Bo gets back in for one last job after she's offered $30,000 if she can get a picture of star actress Maisie Day. Day has gone into hiding suddenly, and the world desperately needs to know where she is, because, of course, they do. Bo gets a tip that Maisie has checked into a fancy rehab clinic for the stars, but when she shows up there to try and get a few photos, she discovers that Maisie is not in rehab for drugs. It's something much more paranormal. I shouldn't say also, because I don't think, I was going to say, I thought this episode was okay. You didn't think the episode was okay. The first 30 minutes are really just a basic drama TV episode. It was not real interesting. It didn't pull me in. It was just this Bo character having fighting with her, having morals and saying, you know what, being a paparazzo is a real crap job, and then it's terrible. The twist at the end, though, however, was interesting and unexpected. It was too unexpected. It didn't really
reaching.
Fit. Yeah, it didn't fit. It was just oh, that's the direction this is going. Well, okay, let's go there. Okay, let's go on this ride. I felt everything after the twist was enjoyable, and there's a lot of tension and action. It was.
I wish I could do spoilers, because I'll tell you why I thought it was enjoyable after the twist. But
go ahead and say it. It's fine.
I can't. Well, because nearly everybody dies. It was the only redeeming part. That might be too much, though.
No, it's not too much of a spoiler.
I said nearly? I mean, that could be...
Right.
Anybody, right?
Yeah, anybody. Yeah, I did like that very end shot of Bo taking a photo of this tragic thing that's happening in front of her. It did leave me like asking questions like what her motivation was in that moment. I wasn't.
Money.
Well, yes. I mean, well, she had a bunch of photos up to that point already, so I don't think that one photo necessarily. Well, I mean, they could have got her even more money, I suppose. But yeah, like, was she? I don't know what she was doing. But...
I think if you were to look at it from okay, this is supposed to be a Black Mirror episode, they would say something about, like how the last shot, death by incriminating photo, kind of, you're going to get bad press anyway, so go ahead and just take my picture in this vulnerable state kind of thing.
Yeah.
How celebrity is.
Right. It did kind of like encapsulate celebrity in that, even in this absolutely terrible moment, it needs to be documented.
Right.
Yeah. So I gave this one I wrote 6 out of 10 here. I'm kind of second guessing that now. I don't know. I enjoyed the ending.
Is it because everybody died?
Perhaps because all these people that I did not enjoy, I was like, kill them all. You know what? No, I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to say this was like 5 out of 10. It just took too long to get interesting.
Yeah, this was actually my lowest, my least favorite of the season. I put, it was slow. It felt incomplete. It felt like you were watching. I'm all for you start a show or start an episode and it's two unrelated storylines. Like, she was a paparazzi photographer, and then you have this pretty sudden suicide of a celebrity that she feels responsible for. And then, oh, wait, hold on. Here's this celebrity in the same timeline, but, like you're learning her side of everything. And then, oh, how are they going to meet up in the middle? But it just took so long to get there. And like you said with the, okay, twists and turns or whatever, it felt like they, those magnets that you can put up on your refrigerator and you can arrange them however, and they're just like random, or those fill in the blank, like word things, like
sure.
Choose a noun, choose a verb. I feel like they kind of just went,
Mad Libs.
Hey, and this is the twist, like pick it out of a bag.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It was just, if they would have included a little bit of that in the lead up, or I don't know,
right,
something.
Some clues earlier on as to that's where it was going to go.
Yeah, and I mean,
would have helped it fit in for sure.
Like, we do watch a lot of shows like this, and maybe it would have been too predictable to put something like, oh, well, when she takes pictures of people with her camera, it affects them somehow, or
cool
steals their like their self-worth, or
I like that.
It does something to her, the actual photographer, not the celebrities, or, maybe she captures these people and then something bad happens to them afterwards. Something like that. And I mean, that might have been too predictable too, but I feel like this was such a weird way to go. I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. You should have wrote this episode, because I would have watched the episode where the camera steals people's souls. I would have watched that for sure.
That was the episode with Josh Hartnett.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
I'm gonna see how many times I can say Josh Hartnett in this podcast.
You're racking them out for sure. Let's go on to episode 5. This one's called Demon 79. It basically because it's set in 1979. This one stars a couple of British actors who Americans almost certainly have never seen before, to my knowledge. Synopsis in this one, it's again set in 1979. A woman named Nita faces constant racism and discrimination at work, to the point that she fantasizes basically killing her coworker. She's relegated to eating her lunch in the basement, basically because they say her food smells bad. So they make her eat her lunch in the basement. That's pretty awful. And while down in the basement eating her lunch, she accidentally unleashes a demon in training named Gop. That's 2 A's, just for to clear that up there. Gap conjures himself to look like the lead dancer / rapper from the disco group Boney M. If you remember those guys, I certainly don't. Though I have heard a couple of their songs before. But his natural form is like, it was just too scary for Nita. So he takes this form because, like, the evening before, she had been watching a video performance from the group, and she was like having some feelings for the rapper guy. So he thought that would be a more appealing appearance for himself. Gap goes on to tell Nita that it's up to her to prevent an apocalypse from happening, but to do so, she must kill 3 people in the next 3 days. This one, again, was a little bit less Black Mirror than I was expecting. It was a fun kind of paranormal / apocalypse / what would you do in this situation kind of story. Because basically everything comes down to the question of whether Gap is telling her the truth about this apocalypse, or that he's just trying to use her to have her kill people for his own gains or whatever. And, really you're kind of left questioning that right up into the end, which was definitely the most interesting part about the episode, I thought, was just, is what he's saying true? Is he sincere, or is he just making this up?
Or is she crazy?
Or is she just crazy? Yeah, because that was definitely an option. Is she just imagining all of this? I thought that was a possibility as well.
Because didn't she have a family history of mental illness?
I don't recall that, but it could have been.
I think her mother.
They might have mentioned that, slipped that in there. Yeah. I thought that the guy who the performance of the actor who played Gap was really kind of the best thing about the episode. He was is this juxtaposition of this demon who was kind of like bumbling and actually like fairly charming. For me, it was easily the most likable character in the episode, which was it was kind of fun. So I mean, overall, I didn't dislike the episode. It was kind of fun. I'm again kind of docking this one some points because it just didn't feel enough like what I want from Black Mirror. So I'm giving this one a 6.5 out of 10.
That's harsh. I liked this one.
Ooh.
I didn't think I would, but I did. And as far as giving some sort of twist to technology, or because I feel like that's what Black Mirror tries to do, is teach us lessons about social media and
that's usually their MO.
Yeah. Did this have any of that? No, not really. Not that I can think of anyway.
No.
But did I still rate it 9.5 out of 10? Yes, I did.
Wow, okay.
I liked it. I would have watched a whole, mini series of the characters, and there wasn't anybody that I really particularly enjoyed. I wasn't in love with, oh, I love this main character, or, oh, this demon is really great. They were good characters. They were nice, but I don't know. I guess I liked the feeling. I liked the setting. It kind of, now that I'm thinking of it, it kind of reminds me of the ending of, the apocalyptic ending of Angel. How
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, it gave that kind of feel to it.
I can get on board with that.
But I did. I liked it.
Another show that we really enjoyed together. Okay. Well, I mean, again, I I enjoyed the episode. I just, again, my rating was lower because it just was not what I was expecting. But no, I understand what you're laying down there.
I think I laughed, other than Jonah's awful, just laughing at the sheer zaniness and like, are they really gonna do that part of it? I think Demon 79 was the one I actually just laughed at because it was funny.
Yeah,
there were funny parts.
Yeah. And something else that might be just kind of interesting is it was like it was presented as an older kind of horror, kind of schlocky horror film as well. Like the opening title credits were very like
Creature from
era.
the Black Lagoon,
yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. So yeah. Well, all right, that covers all 5 episodes of the season. So I guess I will just talk about some just quick general thoughts here. Overall, I thought the season was solid. It was mostly enjoyable. I other than a bit of Maisie Day, there wasn't much that I disliked. It just overall just felt like less of Black Mirror than I was expecting, which I've already brought that up a few times. But and just to be clear, like what really kind of screams Black Mirror for me is like a sense of like wonder, like eye-opening experiences, situations that make me think like, wow, I've never considered that to be a possibility before. You know, they're like showing me something that I just knew that I had not considered. I think it's kind of like, so like if you're watching like Star Wars, you know, they have like the Force and they have like these different alien species and these huge space battles. And you watch that and you say, well, that's clearly cannot happen in my world. Those things just do not exist in my world. But throughout like the majority of Black Mirror as a collective series, most of these situations feel like they could exist in our world, which I think is part of, you know, the wonder of, and the what makes the show great is being able to think this could be the world we live in, and it's wild and crazy.
Right. There's usually a lesson to be learned, or they're pointing out a flaw in society. You know, I think they touch a lot on, you know, like likes on a social media app or internet dating and how that can go. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that they had in their past ones. I guess one of my favorite episodes that we actually watched today a little bit is the Be Right Back. And even though that one was sad too in its own way, it was like it had a lot of emotion to it. Like love and loss and then some hope and then also regretting choices that you made. And the technology in that one, what they do, basically couples together, she loses her husband and then she's gifted a way to communicate with her husband, and then even go even further into that. You know, how far would you go to get back the one that you love, or what does that mean once they've passed? And I really liked that, and I feel like, you know, it brings up like how much technology is too far. And but do I feel like this season in particular, this 5 episodes, is a good representative of the normal? As the latest season, I would say it feels kind of like a departure. Would you agree that this season's a little...
I think perhaps maybe they're kind of establishing this as a branching off point where they want to open up the possibilities of the show. I'm kind of hoping that, you know, maybe it's less about questionable writing and more about, hey, Black Mirror isn't going to just strictly be sci-fi technology based stories anymore.
Which is okay, I guess.
if I was made aware of that, that's
right.
I would be like, okay, that's cool. I can do that.
Well, like Bandersnatch, that one was, from what I can remember, was it video game?
Yep.
Based?
It was a video game, yeah.
Like old games.
Yeah, like a retro game.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like how I say old and you say retro.
Stop calling me old.
Classic. But yeah, if you have that, if you get away from the presumption that it's going to be exactly the way it was in prior seasons, I think that. But I don't know. Would I watch it if all the episodes were Maisie Day and Loch Henry? No, I would not, because I could watch a scary movie with more plot development and, actually be scary rather than just, you know what I mean?
I do, yeah. It would be interesting. I think I wouldn't abandon the show, but I wouldn't enjoy it as much. I think I can safely say that. So, yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, you mentioned like what you thought was probably your favorite episode. I was looking back a bit today as well myself, and I it was tough for me to pick a favorite one.
It's the Miley Cyrus one, isn't it?
The Miley Cyrus. Yes, exactly. I just couldn't get enough of Miley Cyrus. I did go back and I was like, I found one. It's titled USS Callister, which I think I probably would call my favorite in part, no small part, because it really parallels to the classic original Star Trek series. It also revolves around video games as well, so that kind of really falls into two of my big niches. Just real quick, the plot of that one is basically there's this programmer who's feeling underappreciated. He's like the co-creator of this video game, this really popular video game, this sci-fi based MMO. And essentially he gets back at his coworkers by stealing their DNA in various ways.
Gross.
And then because he has the technology, the ability to do it, he codes them into the game. So there's like a clone. The person is still alive in the real world, but there's a sentient clone of themselves inside the game, who now has zero control over their own anything they do, because as the programmer, the guy is Robert Daly is the character's name. He has control over everything that happens within that game that they're in. And so they're all being they're like slaves, and they're being mistreated, and they have to go through all these stupid things missions he takes them on. And they eventually find a way to beat him, and then they escape into essentially they escape from their prison version of the game into the online version of the game. And then these sentient digital clones are essentially playing this online game for real. Like, that is their life. They're living the game, which was actually really awesome. Just thinking about this, wow, that would be fun. To do that for real.
Sims run amok.
Right, yeah.
You can't remove the ladder from the pool anymore. The pool is now an infinite ocean.
Yeah. That's pretty clear, yeah.
There you go. I should write. I should write for this.
You are good at this.
Black Mirror.
So, I mean, overall, Black Mirror is a series that, I mean, we both really enjoy it. It is, it's really cool in the way it makes you think about things, and just these thought-provoking situations. Just a couple stats I wrote down here. Just as an overall series, it holds an 83% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and an 80% audience score. And the Metacritic user score is an 8.4 out of 10. So those are all pretty high numbers and pretty even across the board. Over the years, the show has won 19 various awards, including several Emmys and a couple BAFTAs. So it's definitely being recognized for what it does well. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about Black Mirror as a show?
I guess the one thing that is its strength and its weakness is that it's not following, like, every individual episode is its own entity, and it's not like you have to watch every episode. I mean, with several of these shows, that's like the running theme, is that you can watch them as a standalone and that they don't really tie into each other. But that also, you only have one episode to get into the characters and have the whole story told. And then you don't see them again. And sometimes that's really sad because you want more from certain people. Or
sometimes you do really get, you get to like these characters a lot. And I would agree. I enjoy the anthology format in that each episode is like a self-contained thing that does not relate to the other ones. Because I just kind of enjoy that formatting because it allows for some really interesting things. But that's a fair point that you would like to see more from some of these episodes and you just won't. So, all right, I guess that wraps up our thoughts on Black Mirror. Go ahead, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it. I think we both recommend it pretty highly. This is one of our higher rated shows that we enjoy, and go ahead and check it out. All right, next up on our list, we kind of wanted to go over just some other shows that we also watch and enjoy, which are, as I said, kind of fall into the same genre as Black Mirror, because we specifically we did a search like what shows are like Black Mirror, because we wanted more. And one of these, the first one we're going to talk about, we had already discovered, but there's a couple more on this list here that we found later and we enjoyed as well. So first up on the list here is a show called Love, Death, and Robots. I feel like I want to say Love, Death plus Robots, which would fall right in line with our enunciating the colon in a title. But the show Love, Death, and Robots, I'm just going to read this, straight up read this description here. It's an animated anthology series of shorts that spans several genres, including science fiction, fantasy, horror, and comedy. Each episode is created by a different animation team, which I think is one of the really cool parts about this, is that it really gives each episode a very unique feel and look, because it's a completely different team making each episode. So the stories explore situations like alternate histories, post-apocalyptic futures. There's monsters, demons, aliens, and robots, as the title would imply. I found one quote as I was just digging around for stuff, and I really liked it. This guy said, "It's like Black Mirror for the ADD-addled video game crowd." And I kind of felt like that was... that kind of fits, because some of the stuff is very like... it's like hectic, and it's like... Because these are shorts, they don't waste time with like filler information. It's just like, boom, you're in the middle of this thing that's happening.
I think that's something that they actually do a really good job with, is like, unlike Maisie Day, that episode, it's, you're in it whether you want to be or not.
Right.
You kind of just get established as fast as possible so that the episode, because they're not long episodes. They're like, 10 minutes to 30 minutes or something like that? Yeah,
I looked at the shortest one is 7 minutes. 7. And that's with closing titles and credits. So
What's
like
the 7-minute
episode itself is probably only like 5 minutes.
What's the 7-minute episode?
Is it one of
your favorite? Was it one of my favorite ones? I can Google
one of my favorites. Yeah, is one of the shortest ones.
Okay. I'm wondering if it is.
But yeah, they range from like 7 minutes to 21 minutes. Most of them are like under 15 minutes. So yeah, these are like bite-sized episogot that you can like.
That was my term.
Easily just jump into and consume.
Quit looking off my notes.
I gotta use yours. I'm too dumb for this. So gotta just another just kind of explaining how these episodes work. Like the very first episode is it's basically this satirical comedy which follows these 3 robots who embark on a tour of a city long after the fall and extinction of humans. It's really kind of there's a lot of comedy they work into that one. They're like just explaining how humans were kind of like had all these stupid quirks and like.
Didn't it say something about humans trusted robots and so then robots killed them?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yeah. Just a couple other episodes, like examples of episodes. There's an episode about a couple who discovers a miniature civilization inside their freezer. And
you're stealing my notes again.
No, I wrote these before you did. It's like having like like an ant colony or like what are those things? Those sea monkeys.
Yeah.
So
they're sea monkeys.
Yeah. Basically,
it's called Ice Age, by the way.
Sea monkeys in a freezer. Yeah. There's also one of you're gonna yell at me this within. I swear I wrote this down like early. There's an episode about sentient yogurt trying to take over the world. There's even an episode I've seen described as a short Studio Ghibli movie, which might appeal to some of our fans and other hosts.
The only yogurt thing, like the only thing about the yogurt episode is that that's the shortest one, it says.
Okay, yeah.
If you're looking for the shortest one. But yeah, that one was really funny.
It's cool is like that one was like the characters kind of all look like Muppets as well. Just the way the styling of the character design. So you see like these episodes are like all over the place. And
were they really sentient though? The yogurt.
Yeah, I mean they
talk. Wanted Ohio. I mean
they demanded Ohio.
Yikes.
So maybe the yogurt wasn't quite as intelligent as they portrayed, but
they were the 2%, not the whole percent.
Nice. So you can kind of see it again, like I explained. All these episodes were created by different teams, and so this is a huge variety of what you're getting in this series. I would say for the most part, episodes are condensed in a way that they're still able to tell like a meaningful, complete story in a lot of these. I mean, certainly not all of them. Some of them are just like action and gore, and there's like no story, and it's just like this animated romp through this situation. And there's some that like kind of feel like more like a snippet of a larger story as well. So it's kind of all over the place. I would say like there's definitely like a lot of different themes. Like some of them are very like introspective and thought provoking. There's some that deal with morality issues and like what would you do kind of things. There's a couple that are like just really like a psychedelic trip through like this crazy world that this person's experiencing. There's action, adventure, paranormal stuff. There's some, as I said, just kind of like just focused on death and gore. And so these can kind of feel disjointed, I would say, which is maybe like, I would say one of the bigger cons if we're looking at pros and cons of this series. That this vast range of styling means that you might love the animation on one and dislike it on a different episode. Maybe you don't want the death and the gore and the horror, and those certain episodes kind of turn you off from I'm again stealing your notes. I know I am.
You are stealing my notes. That is my exact. We're not supposed to agree on this. Sorry. Because you love Death and Robots, and I do not feel the same way.
Yes.
Because there's no. Where it is a strength in other series to have different styles, and it certainly is in the case of this show, it is not always its strength, though, because you get so many different styles, you're like, ugh, I don't want to watch that. I've literally, you're watching an episode, I'm watching it, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Mm-hmm. And that when I was looking through the show, because I'm like, man, I can't even remember half the episodes that are in this. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh yeah, that one's good too. And then there's so many that I'm like, oh, I missed all of these because they just aren't my thing. And so my least favorite one, Mason's Rats, it was so well done, but it just was gore. And some of them are gore in a way. Okay. Some of them are gore in a way that, like my favorite, or not my favorite. My favorite is Ice Age, which has Topher Grace and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which made me chuckle. But my honorable mention is The Night of the Mini Dead, for its different kind of style and its humor. It has a lot of gore or violence or whatever, but in a way that is funny and not just like pointless or just there to be there. I don't know. So there's no predictability on what you're going to get when you press play, and you might really enjoy an episode and you might really disengage from that style.
Yeah, I totally understand that thought process. I mean, as you said, like, you didn't necessarily, the series as a whole, you are not as into this as Black Mirror, for example. I might actually rate this series, like, as a whole, I might rate it higher even than Black Mirror.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it would be real close. You know, I'm not saying like, oh, this is like way, way better than the other one, but there's something like, I guess one way to put it is, when I was kind of just reviewing some of these episodes today, just to kind of refresh my memory, I was looking through the list and I was like, yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And then I was looking through the Black Mirror episodes and I was like, I don't remember what happens in this episode. I don't remember what happens in this one. You know, I know I saw them, but I'm like, what was this one about? And so I don't know what that means, other than maybe it's just the fact that they're shorts and that's easier to remember. There's less information to remember. Maybe that's more of what it is. But bottom line is, more of these episodes have stuck in my head clearly than Black Mirror. So take that as what you will. But yeah, so I wrote down just a few of my episodes here that I enjoyed. I would also say that probably my favorite was Night of the Mini Dead, which you just
stole your notes.
You stole my notes. It was really fun. So basically, just to kind of give you a synopsis of what this one is, it's animated in a way that looks like you're watching like a miniature.
I don't think you really think it's animated. You don't think it's like a stop animation like mini set? Is that, I don't know what the term is, but you don't feel like it is?
I think it was CGI, but it's done in a way that it looks like it could be physical miniatures in stop animation. It was really just kind of funny because like, there are some like speaking lines in the episode. There's not many, but a lot. Everything is done in like these like high pitched squeaky voices because there's just the wee little characters on the screen.
Well, not only that, but everything's sped up too, so it's like
right. That's right. Yeah, everything's like a fast. It's like all in like double speed maybe as well. So it's just like everything's just happening very quickly. What I enjoyed is like the tagline right on Netflix's description is "the cutest zombie apocalypse you'll ever see," and that's pretty accurate. And there was also some good humor in this episode as well. It's very short, but they pack a lot into this episode. It's funny. There's all sorts of crazy gore and death, and yeah, the ending just kind of sticks the landing. So I think that one is my favorite overall. I also really enjoyed like the very first episode, which is titled 3 Robots, which I kind of described already, which is the robots kind of talking about how humanity managed to wipe itself out. And in part, I enjoyed that one because I definitely feel like we have a large percentage of the population that is too dumb to sustain the human race.
Too dumb or too reliant on technology?
Perhaps both, but so that kind of really hit home for me. A lot of stuff there. My least favorite episode was titled Ice, which came from season 2, and kind of just basically just real quick. This one is there's these two brothers. They're like moved to a new town. The one brother is modded, air quotes modded, which essentially I think means has like cybernetic parts, but they don't explain that at all. He does seem to be like superhuman in some ways, but the other brother has nothing. He's like just a basic human. And he's kind of like shunned for it because all the other characters have like these mods. Anyways, it's like this story, like the brothers like go and they like, there's this like gang of punks who are very stereotypically, they're like edgy and they're smoking weed, cigarettes or something. And like, they're like towing the line of like criminal activity. And, essentially they get in the situation where the unmodded brother like nearly dies because he can't outrun this danger, and then in the end they like kind of accept him because they're like, oh yeah, you are kind of cool after all. I was like, the story just did not hit me. It was like there was no point to the story. The characters I didn't like the characters. It was just like, this is not enjoyable. So that was my least favorite episode that I remembered. But I would go into just like ratings overall. Rotten Tomatoes has this one at an 85% critic rating and 81% audience rating. That is as the series as a whole. So it's very in line with Black Mirror as well. Metacritic score is an 8.0 out of 10. This series has also won some Emmys, 5 that I found, all coming from the first season, interestingly enough, which had like, the first season had like 18 episodes. It was by far the longest. The season 2 had like 7 episodes and season 3 had like 8 or 9 or whatever that was. But yeah, so I mean, again, this is a show that I definitely would recommend as well if you want more of like these like weird technological stories and situations and things that kind of fall into the same genres as Black Mirror. Is there anything else that you would like to say about it?
Nope.
Okay. All right, let's move on here. We have another show that this was one that we found, we kind of discovered when we were looking, as I said, we were kind of searching for other shows like Black Mirror to kind of fill that void for us. And so this is what we found. What we didn't mention is that Love, Death, and Robots is on Netflix. I don't know if I said that or not, but that's where you will find that one. This one is called Weird City, and it's a YouTube original, of which I mean, I know they're doing originals, but I couldn't name a single YouTube original series other than this one. You do need a YouTube Premium account to watch this. Just FYI for anyone who.
I think we could watch like one episode, right?
It was like
a few
one
episodes.
Or 2. Yeah, we could watch a couple without, but then it was like, nope. If you want to continue, you gotta pay the big bucks. Which we're not paying anything, because we snagged ourselves a free month trial, and we were going to cancel that, I think, because
will you remember?
I'm not paying $12 a month for YouTube. So that's I think it was like 12 or something, but yeah. Anyways, again, this is called Weird City. It started in 2019. It's only got the one season with 6 episodes. I don't know if they're planning to make more or not.
I don't think they are. There was this whole spiel about YouTube not doing scripted shows. I don't know what that means, but it seemed like this one was not.
Throws their whole YouTube Originals plan down the crapper.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But
it would be a shame, though, but they have some pretty heavy celebrity or well-known writers, so maybe they'll just find a different platform.
Yeah, they definitely could. So this one is created by Jordan Peele and Charlie Sanders. So this one, I would say, honestly, Weird City has a lot of similarities to Black Mirror, just in like the types of weird situations that the stories cover. There's a lot of technology weaved into these stories and like this near future possible reality. The similarities kind of end there, though, just as a series as a whole. It's definitely like much brighter, just overall, like.
It's lighter, yeah.
It just visually and in how it feels.
Tone.
Yeah, in tone. It is not dark and bleak and dystopian like much of Black Mirror is. It's actually like a lot of parts are like kind of like uplifting and chipper and fun. There's definitely a lot more comedy worked into it. But it does have a lot of weird situational things that you would not, that we don't have in our current daily lives.
There's a lot of bizarre parts.
Yeah, for sure. It also is set, it's technically an anthology series because each episode is like its own little self-contained story with a different cast, different set of characters. Though it does all take place in the same city. It's all in the same situation with the same social and political structure around it. And there are some recurring side characters from episode to episode. Again, like Black Mirror, stories do kind of generally have some like weird twist or just a way that an unexpected turn in the story that usually is a bit comical in a way. So, yeah, I guess you want to go ahead and you had picked out a favorite episode for this one.
Well, so just pros about this series in general is, like you said, you can watch them individually, but they do flow together, and there are details that go from episode to episode, like products or services or it's all based in a city that has a wall. Rich people live in one side of town. The poor people live in the other side of town. It touches on kind of like Black Mirror on online dating, social media, different trends, poor versus rich. But it's in a lighter, funnier, less stabby, blood-filled way.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, you will not get my references to my biggest con. But Brett will, and that is, quote, that, can I swear?
Yeah.
That fucking rapper, Chillinix. Dear Lord. And I'm glad that this is not this is one of the reoccurring things is this rapper. And she is not a real musician. She is an actress. And damn, does she do a good job, because I really want to jump into my TV screen and rip her vocal cords out. It's awful. But yes, moving on to my favorite episode is the actual first episode of the series, and it's called The One. I like it because I feel like it was a really good first look into the world that's bright, and it has a lot of, themes right away. I think they have... it's a poor kid, grew up on the other side. Now he's got a good job. He still drinks like the poor man's beer. I think
in real bottles.
And they're like, who is this? Who is this for? We had to dig in the bottom of the freezer.
Find this glass bottle.
And then like I think his buddies were on a dating site or something, or on some sort of site.
Yeah, they were talking about how they like are set up with someone like kind of from birth or something.
They're like,
no, it's not that early.
Whoa, because the bartender was hitting on him a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, we're married," and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's weird, but it's. Oh, and then there's the place that said you must eat here, and like literally you must eat there by
like
the end of the month,
contractually obligated to eat at this restaurant
because you live above the line. Mm-hmm. But I liked it, and it goes into online dating or whatever, and not necessarily a successful online dating.
No, there's a hiccup.
Yeah. But it is about love in unexpected places, and I don't want to spoil it more than that.
Fair enough. That was an enjoyable episode for me as well. It was I don't know. Like, there was a point I was like, oh, this is definitely very different from Black Mirror. And for a bit, I was kind of like, I don't know how well I'm enjoying this, because it's quite a bit different in tone. But
you know what it reminds me of? In a weird way, Futurama, sort of.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can see that.
It's got a little Futurama flair, maybe.
Definitely. I can see that now. You're saying that, yeah, it's like the people in the situation are like so different from the way we live now. They like have all these like things that are making their lives like easier, and so they're like they're I don't know how to put it right now, but like they don't know how to take care of themselves at times, and like everything's done for them, and yeah.
Right. Well, and you don't really get to see how different the like quote unquote rich people live versus the quote unquote poor people until you get to the episode Jonathan, Mulia, Barley, and Pephany, which I will refer to as CM, B, and P. And you're like, how do you survive? Because they do go down to the, opposite side of town, and they don't know how to do anything. They do know how to drive a car.
I was shocked that they knew how to drive a car.
They did not know. I'm trying to think of what they did not know what a like that you don't just break into somebody's house.
Right. They just walk in, like the boy in the house is what are you doing in my house? And they're like, they didn't understand that was something they shouldn't do.
I don't think they knew what a video game was.
Right.
Maybe they did. I don't know, but they're like, "Oh, look at these houses. Like, it doesn't look this bad on this side of the town. Like, they're in a community just like us." I don't know if they felt like they were going to be living in tents or something, but which is really funny because it's literally just like any town that you would live in. Yeah. The quote unquote poor side of town.
Right. Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and jump in here because this episode was my favorite one that I chose. So, yeah, as you said, like basically the people who are living in the poor side of the fence of the line, this physical wall running through the city, is essentially it's modern day life for us. Like that's how it's not like they're not living like in like sheds. They're actual houses. It's just like what we consider normal life for the most part. But then there's like this juxtaposition of these people living across the line who are like living in the future basically and have like a completely different like social statuses and this weird way of living. But yeah, you said like just.
And wasn't the kid's name Owen? And they were trying to make it weird.
They kept giving him like a weird name, yeah, because they didn't like.
Because it wasn't like Jonathan.
Yeah, these
or
characters'
Mulia.
names. Phephany.
Phephany. This
is the character's name. Yeah, so by this point watching it, like this episode was like really over the top in just how nonsensical these people were, because you have a Stephen Yeun who is from Walking Dead is Glenn on Walking Dead. The entire episode is just walking around. It was a cantaloupe or a melon. It was some sort of melon,
I thought.
And he just like kept offering this melon to people, like, "Do you want some of my melon?" It was just like that was his thing the whole episode. And then you had these other people like the one guy was like, "Oh yeah, I know how to live on the other side of the line," and he was like trying to like mansplain everything more or less. And then you had like the two female characters were like, I don't know, there wasn't anything like really weird about them, but they just like didn't understand like.
Well, one was kind of judgy, and the other one was like keeping up with the Joneses, you know, like oh, well, so-and-so's sponsoring this kid, you know, or whatever, and they try to do their part. And
right. So the way that this plot ends up breaking down is they're trying to do a good thing for the community by sponsoring a needy child. And somehow they don't understand that sponsoring a child is not the same thing as kidnapping a child, which is what they do.
Giving away the plot.
Well, I mean, yeah. I'll just leave it at that. So like they essentially like kidnap this kid because they're like, "Hey, we're sponsoring you. Let's give you a better life." And he was what was hilarious was that the kid was like very like
aware
of the situation. He was just like, "Yo, you guys can't do this. What why what?" And he was like the most mature character in the episode. Was like this 10-year-old.
Yes.
Which I thought was hilarious. And like the whole time he was just like, "Okay, I'm just going to go along with it because you people are harmless, but you're stupid."
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I did enjoy this one a lot because it was so bizarre and like the characters were like over the top, but not in a way, because sometimes like when things go like over the top, it goes past a point and I'm like, no, I'm done. This is like, but they were just enough ridiculous to like hook me in. And
see that. It was too over the top for me. This is my least favorite episode.
Oh, no way.
There's a tie. This one and Go to College. And let me tell you why. On my notes for Go to College, it is Moana. Is that you? It's just over the top. Don't get me wrong. So as a whole, Weird City, I loved it. I would watch several seasons. But it was just too out there. The concept was really juvenile, I guess. I don't know. I just didn't get into the characters as much. And the only reason why Go to College wasn't my absolute least favorite is because there was some sort of like girl power to it. But yeah. That was, yeah. Okay. And saying Pephany makes my blood boil a little bit. I'm surprised you didn't say that the Smart House one was your favorite because Mark Hamill is the voice of the house.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Maybe that is my favorite now.
It was really good. I liked that episode. It was a good episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one too. Because this is a smart house, so it's got like an AI built into it, and
two lesbians move in, Laverne Cox and Sarah Gilbert.
Oh, I was debating whether or not to like give away some of the plot, and
well, they have a smart house.
Yeah. And the house has a personality, like maybe perhaps too much personality.
So it would be like all of a sudden it's moving into basically, oh my gosh. And then he's like, I like to have you girls inside of me or something. I don't know. The sexual comments were just great. It was fun.
Was some there, yeah.
And then I just feel like the whole premise of that was really creative because you've seen movies or shows that have the smart house. You know, like it's not a new concept, but the way they presented it was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I mean, overall I enjoyed Weird City. I didn't enjoy it as much as the other two we've talked about so far. I think because it was like bright and like happy through most of it.
Well, the second episode, a family one, which basically is about, it reminds me of CrossFit. Like there's a reoccurring product called Pedge, isn't that pomegranate? Something to do with pomegranates, I think.
Probably. I don't know.
And Michael Cera is in the episode, and I will have nightmares about Michael Cera.
Oh, God.
He freaks me out in this episode, and so I don't feel like it's all bubblegum and, rainbows for this series. There are darker themes, like that one was disturbing.
Yeah, I would agree.
And they don't play it safe either. There's, with the first episode, there's not necessarily a sex scene, but two characters get together and you do not expect it at all. And they're, unlikely. You wouldn't hook them up in real life, that's for sure. And then having Michael Cera, and then, I don't think they play it safe at all. There's some unexpectedness. But what did you think of the last episode? Below. I really liked it.
I thought it had some funny moments. I'm not a big, like the two actors. You got Awkwafina in this, and Yvette Nicole Brown.
I think she did a good job.
They did fine. I find it hard to get into their performances a bit. It was okay. I'll just go with that, I guess. I didn't really enjoy it. I thought the theme was kind of fun in that they're self-aware.
They become aware that they're
TV
the
characters.
star. Yeah, that they're the stars of a TV show, and then they're like, oh.
Not as actors, but as a digital representation of a person. They're self-aware.
Yeah. I liked that part.
But it was okay. Yeah, I was good with
What about Chillanex, the rapper?
I don't know where I would go.
For those of you that like nails on a chalkboard, this will be right in your wheelhouse of music that you want to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's about all I got on that one. So, all right. Well, I think we got a little bit of time here. We're going to sneak in one last show that we want to talk about, or maybe more specifically that my wife wished to talk about. It's a show called Maniac. This is also on Netflix, and just a quick description of it here. It's two strangers connect while going through a pharmaceutical trial, which is set in a retro future New York. There are 10 episodes of this. It stars Jonah Hill and Emma Stone, so it's got some good star power there. And I guess I'll just give my 2 cents on it real quick. I didn't necessarily like the characters at first. I didn't enjoy the way Jonah Hill played this. The character was hard for me to enjoy, and I'm being perfectly honest, I slept through a chunk of this show, and I kind of lost track of what was going on, and I was kind of okay with that I missed it. It was hard for me to get into the show. It does have some very interesting situational, weird technological almost alternate reality kind of theming to it, which should have gotten me pulled in a bit more. I'm not sure why it didn't. I just didn't enjoy it as much, and therefore I slept through parts of it. But my wife enjoyed it, and so we should like to present this as another option for you if you want to look for it.
Yeah. So neither of the characters are likable at first. I mean, they're flawed characters. If they weren't, they wouldn't be going into this pharmaceutical trial. I would say if you like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, this is pretty on point with that, in the fact that you have, reality, which is way different than what our reality is. They have a purple koala I think it's called a marsupial. It was that purple thing that was playing chess.
Okay.
It's like a robot. I don't know. That's but it doesn't. It's like the whole thing isn't super out there. There's different like objects and. Like they have a person who will read ads to you. They have a friend service that you can hire that is like basically renting a friend,
Right.
Renting somebody to come and pretend that they're your
like
friend for the.
Just to kind of clear it up, like the ad thing was like you can earn money by having someone physically sit next to you and read advertisements to you.
Yeah. And then they have like a blackmail agency where you can go and you can pay money and they will find dirt on people that you want to blackmail. I liked it because, these two characters, they have a past. Obviously, they go into this trial that involves taking a pill, a B pill, and a C pill in a certain order, and basically working through their mental stuff. And you go into their trauma, and you go into, through the different stages in their mind, and they actually find, without giving too much away, that they are in each other's, mind consciousness. I don't know what it'd be considered, but there's just so much absurdity to some of it that it is awesome, like to their reality, not necessarily even to their, when they're under the trial and they're in their dreams and whatever. Like there's a big computer system that, there's a plot point with that I don't want to get into, but, I really enjoyed that. I feel like some episodes are really different themed than the other episodes just because you're going into different, almost like just a different dream. My favorite is the episode called Exactly Like You, and it is back in like the 50s maybe? I don't know. It's one of those chic, like old-fashioned, they end up at some mansion to do a seance, and I like the costumes. I like the way they talk to each other. It's kind of like a noir film feeling to it. My least favorite episode, I don't think I had a least favorite. But you have to watch them all. And like for you, when you fell asleep or you missed an episode or you missed a chunk of an episode, you can't.
Yeah, like I couldn't catch up at that point.
Yeah, it's hard to hop back in.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and it was heartwarming in some aspects and thought-provoking. There's definitely some technology that I wish we had. There's a box you can go in, like a human, not like a casket, but it's like a little thing you can go in called an avoid. Like a void. You need I want one of those so I can go in and
can escape reality.
And people can talk to me through a little speaker, and that would be great. And there's enough like mental health parts of it that I think are really interesting. I don't know. I liked it. Some parts are really funny. There's a lot of parts that are really, really funny. It's got the guy in it that... Is it Justin Thoreau?
Sounds right.
From Your Highness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
He's pretty funny. He plays a pretty bizarre character, but I liked it. I think that's a good one. A different bit of a feel. Probably more budget, and you didn't like it, but...
I didn't, unfortunately, but such as it is sometimes.
And then the other show would be Electric Dreams. Just an honorable mention. We're not through that one yet, but that's not the official title. What's the official title?
It's called Philip Dreams of Electric Dicks.
Were you just sitting there going Philip
Dreams of Electric Dicks. That's what it's called.
Of Electric Dicks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Yep, that's it. It stars Josh Hartnett.
Oh. Every episode. Every actor in the show is Josh Hartnett. playing every role.
It's good though. It's like a grown-up.
Yeah, I mean, we've only watched a few episodes of it, but it definitely is very Black Mirror feel to it. Like it you could almost take those episodes and just slot them into Black Mirror and not realize that it's a different show.
I feel like it's based more for an older, more mature crowd versus like a teenager 20-something. Yeah. Maybe that's just my way of saying it's kind of boring. I don't know. Or maybe the actors are people from the past that you're like, oh, they still exist. But I liked it, yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty good so far. I have enjoyed the episodes we've watched so far. I have enjoyed them. So, I mean, I would just early results. I probably would say, yeah, go check that out as well. The actual title is Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams. Just to be clear there. All right, so there you have it. That was we gave you our review of Black Mirror, and we ended up giving you 4 other shows that also kind of fall into that same genre if you're looking for more content of similar nature. This has been a lot of fun. I have enjoyed doing this you wife.
Lies.
You appear to be not willing to give your real name on air, but no, honestly, I've enjoyed this. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to just assume that you do not want to sing our way out of this episode as we typically do.
My real name is Pfeffany.
There it is. Pfeffany and Brett.
Pfeffany.
A match made in heaven.
Brett.
That would fit the show, yeah. Something like that, yeah. So, anyways, this has been another episode of Friends Occasionally Not Disagreeing. You can find us almost anywhere these days. Yes, you have something to say?
We should do the fun theme exit in the style of Chillix or whatever.
Oh, God, no, I will not.
Oh, Chillinix.
I won't do that.
It's just screaming. Just imagine us screaming in terror in the worst, most raspy.
Right. Just imagine that, and we won't actually do it. So, yeah, anyways, you can find us anywhere. We are on like any platform that carries podcasts. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I've been thinking, I haven't done it yet, I've been thinking we should start doing YouTube shorts of our clips, and that might happen soon too. Just gonna throw that out there right on the hot spot here on the mic, but yeah. You're
not a scripted show.
This is not a scripted show. Yeah, we can't be on YouTube. Yeah, we're out. See you next time.
Stay weird.